Mzwai, a very interesting conversation, clear characterization of the problems and what needs to be done. But when Samkele asks, how long will it take to revive the ANC in KZN, he concedes it will take a lot of time. Why has what he has stated not translated into some sort of electoral fortunes for them? Because he's quite articulate on the issues.
Thanks, Mfundo. One of the issues that we've been dealing with here, particularly in unpacking the NGC, the ANC itself, and perhaps its governance, is that it is very, very good at diagnosing the problem. I mean, listen to Siboniso Duma there, hitting all the right notes.
Great contributions.
That's exactly what South Africans expect in terms of the service delivery. Where the ANC generally falls short is that despite knowing what to do, sometimes the word doesn't match the deed. Because in most cases, the reason why perhaps the people have walked away from the ANC or have stayed away from the ANC is because of things like he's speaking about, which they speak ideally should be done, but are not happening perhaps regularly enough. There are some instances, obviously, where there will be some interventions. We can't take that away from them. But the fact of the matter is that the majority of what he is saying is what ordinary South Africans expect. And that's why, since 1994, they've been able to give the ANC chance after chance, because somehow they could see that there is a particular direction it's taking. But as soon as there were things that they were not happy about, they started slowly withdrawing that vote. If the ANC from this NGC, we know now, Mfundo, that they are in the commissions, if that which he is saying, they are able to then, what is the word? If they are able to actualize it.
Yeah.
Because speaking about it and not doing it.
But are they willing to have an honest conversation around why they're failing at the actualizing part? Because some commentators have said it's not that they don't know what to do, as you say, but there are always competing interests, that you've got ANC members that are not pulling together. There are some with self-interest. So that is what stops the adequate service delivery. That's what leads to overpricing when there are tenders, etc. So the actualization seems to be possible, but there's something in the room that needs to be discussed about people that are pulling in different directions.
I really suspect and perhaps hope that that warning shot, which was fired last year, 29 May, is a good wake-up call for them. Because many of their colleagues, many of their comrades are not in those resources where they'll be able to do what we are speaking about. In fact, even the national government is composed of a multiplicity of other parties. So, which basically tells you that as much as they would talk about the NDR wanting to push this particular society, it's now not entirely possible to do it the way you want to. You know why? Because the power that you had is somehow reduced. So that warning shot that was fired last year, 29 May, of saying, ANC, you will still be the majority in terms of the parties in South Africa. But what we will do is that we will not give you the outright majority to govern yourself. You are the majority, you can invite others to be part of what is happening. So if then those that have been given that possibility then don't take this into account, don't take the opportunity of perhaps correcting either the wrongs, South Africans have shown that we can take what is ours, and then what if in the following elections, in the 2029 elections, perhaps not even mentioning next year's elections, what if they take it even better and give it to someone else? You'll be completely out. These delegates who are meeting here so have a proper opportunity to reflect. The fact, Mfundo, that the Secretary General of the party decided, obviously the party decided that the report, the organizational report, would not necessarily be done behind closed doors, which is ordinarily the case. Because South Africans know the problems, but let's hear from the people themselves. Do they know the problems? we actually heard that they know the problems.
Yeah.
They're able to identify the problems. So if you are willing to subject yourself to the public at large, then how willing are you to then tackle those problems? Because you've told the people that these are our problems. Now we have the opportunity. Those delegates, for me, would really need to sit down and really deal with these issues. And then after dealing with these issues, because the problem is known, so the cure is actually known.
As well, yeah.
All that needs to be done is to administer the cure instead of taking that cure and putting it somewhere there.
Because
and it doesn't serve anyone.
We heard again from the Secretary General that when they talk about the renewal program, what is needed here on the part of the ANC is dexterity. They need to have clarity in their strategy. And they need to constantly be innovating. So in all of that, it seems that they know exactly what needs to be done in as much as they're asking each other for contributions about what is to be done. But I want to take us back to who were the first to withhold their vote. It was the middle strata that we heard about yesterday when they were referring to it, that even the ANC, in diagnosing its problem, they understood that in the electorate, they still have the support of the older generation. It could be for many reasons that the older generation continues to support the African National Congress. But it seems what was an emerging middle class, which some analysts will still tell you that we don't know if we actually still have a middle class. We probably have two extremes now, the very well off and quite a lot who are just working class and barely surviving. But for the interest of what he has stated, which is the middle strata, he has said they seem to, through their conduct, have alienated this specific cohort. Now, this cohort, to a great extent, also withheld their vote. They didn't vote at all. They didn't just withhold it against the ANC. So one still says, probably, they still feel there is a fragility when they look at the opposition party. So meaning, there must probably still be a chance for them if they truly reflect and start implementing whatever becomes the plan here.
Well, I would say it's a combination of both the middle and the working class.
Yeah.
Because just look at the patterns around the country. You, for example, look at what happened in KZN. You look at what happened, yes, in Mpumalanga, they just crossed the line, but look at what happened.
But they've always been strong in Mpumalanga.
But this time round, they just crossed the line, so which means it was difficult.
Yeah.
You look at what happened in Gauteng, which will generally perhaps would characterize that aspect that the Secretary General spoke about. But also, by the way, where they have won, generally, there has been a drop. I mean, they are very strong in Limpopo, but Limpopo is no longer the Limpopo we used to know. Yeah. Same thing in the Eastern Cape. Because as much as others would respond quicker, some will respond quicker than others, the trend, some very slow, some quicker, is that there is an acknowledgement that, yes, you're doing some of the work right, but not entirely. And we are not very happy. So that is what they need to take. That is what they need to take. And I honestly don't know if you are a delegate and then you've been given this responsibility. So, and then you come and you just go back and do the very same things that you were doing. So what would you be thinking? Because if that is the case, you are certain that you are out of power. One of the things that their former leader said, Oliver Tambo, one of the respected leaders of the ANC, he never got to be in government. Yeah. But he warned them.
Yes.
You know, when you talk about leaders who are said to be visionary, he warned them. He said, comrades, you would think it's difficult to run this movement. Yeah. Wait until you get into government. When there's access to resources. Yeah. You'd realize that actually governing the country is much more difficult than fighting for freedom. That's exactly what's happening. Yeah. Perhaps they should go back. There's a lot of examples. You can look also at other African countries, so those who got freedom. It's not enough to say after 20 years things start to change. You can reverse that trend. So there are traditions that you can still keep, but a tradition is not just there. It's there to help you perhaps improve, give you a grounding so that you can be able to then modernize. Because one of the things is that the ANC has somehow relied on archaic way of doing things.
Yeah.
And you must be able to solve problems of today.
They need agility at this point.
With solutions of today. Yes, use the olden days as some sort of a guideline, how it's done, how it's not done.
But they've got the structures such as the Youth League. If anything, Colin Malachi has said that they want to bring that agility and bring them into new mechanisms to deal with the problems of now. Hopefully their contributions at this very gathering will lead to some sort of a comprehensive plan that meaningfully addresses the issues.